All right, hey VC, I'm Jamie. Welcome back. We're back with another video. And yes, we're back with vinyl finds. I've got quite a stack to get to. So hopefully you'll find something in there that maybe you haven't seen before that you'll enjoy. First off, we'll show you what I'm reading currently. I'm reading the book 1971, Never a Dull Moment. And this is by David Hepworth. He co-hosts Word in Your Ear or Word in Your Attic. And he makes a really good case for spotlighting the year 1971 as the best year for music. And I think he makes a pretty good case for that. So enjoying that read. And speaking of the year 1971, we're going to start things off with an album from 1971. This is Canned Heat, the great blues rock outfit, and historical figures and ancient heads. I do love the cover for this one. It's a nice gatefold album, and it actually goes, shall we say, the spine is this way, so it actually goes that way, and then it opens up. And you see the aging rockers in the home with the nurses in the background, and a nice photo of the band on the wall there. And this also includes the original poster, and it's a nice size poster that's in really nice shape. And there's no pinholes or any tape on the back of it. So hopefully, if I've got this the right way around, I can show you what the poster looks like. So there we go. So Canned Heat, and this was their first studio album following the death of Alan Wilson, but another great Canned Heat album. Okay, another great artist. This is Al Kooper and the album Naked Songs. Of course, Al Kooper from Blood, Sweat and Tears, the original incarnation of the band. That was his group. And then terrific producer. And this is another great Al Kooper album. And on Columbia, nice gatefold with some interesting artwork inside. I like the humor that Al Kooper puts into his music, and always creative covers too. So you could use that cover, or I guess you could use that cover as well. Al Kooper, an artist I've talked about many times, B.W. Stevenson. If you like the real country rock sound, check out this artist. Sadly, no longer with us, but had the hit My Maria. This is his album We Be Sailing, and usually you can find B.W. Stevenson albums pretty cheaply in the wild. So another great album from B.W. Stevenson. Going to change things up with Was Not Was, featuring producer Don Was, and this is the album What Up Dog from 1988. Great funky kind of 80s thing going on, and of course the track Walk the Dinosaur on this one. And that's going to be an earworm now for the rest of this video. That song, this does feature the original inner sleeve. So Was Not Was, What Up Dog. Okay, some blues music this time. We've got Johnny Winter, and this is White, Hot, and Blue. I paid a little bit more than $8, but this one's still in the shrink, amazingly. I've got a few albums that are surprisingly still in the shrink, and this does include the original inner sleeve, Johnny Winter. Here's a Canadian band you might not be familiar with. The band is called Crash Vegas, and this is their album Red Earth. And Greg Keeler from Blue Rodeo was fairly instrumental with this band. I think got them onto their recording contract or onto the label with Risk Disc, which was also Blue Rodeo's label at the time. They have kind of that country rock or country folk rock kind of thing going on. They had been compared to the Cowboy Junkies, which isn't quite a fair comparison because I think the Cowboy Junkies were a little bit more mellower than this band. But yeah, really nice sound. Inside Out was the big hit from this one, and as I mentioned, surprisingly came across this one, and this is from like 1989 and still in the shrink with the original inner sleeve. This produced by Malcolm Byrne, who is with the band Boys Brigade, and Malcolm Byrne went on to produce a number of Canadian artists as well. Okay, whenever I see this in the wild, maybe whatever configuration of the Best of Sonny and Cher, they do seem kind of beat up. This one in surprisingly good condition. So pretty much what you see is what you get, the Best of Sonny and Cher. It's got The Beat Goes On, I Got You Babe, also Laugh at Me, the Sonny Bono hit. So Best of Sonny and Cher on Atco. Canadian band known as the Irish Rovers, and this is their album Hard Stuff. Now, the Irish Rovers had the hit The Unicorn. They also then started to do a lot of kind of novelty or silly kind of songs like Wasn't That a Party? Also their cover of Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer. With this album on Attic from 1989, this was their attempt to kind of get back into their sort of their Celtic roots, or, you know, take on more serious music. However, they don't completely abandon some of the, you know, the fun things, like we got, you know, some silly photos going on there. And they also do a cover of the Who's Squeeze Box on this album, although for some reason they call it Mama's Got a Squeeze Box. But Bryan Adams supplied a song for them, All Sing Together, written by Bryan Adams and Jim Vallance, and Randy Bachman supplied The Other Side of the Evening. But it's a nice record overall on Attic Records, and this was a thrift store find that also has the original inner sleeve. Okay, going back a few years for this. This is the band Sopwith Camel and their debut. A band that very much sounds like Lovin' Spoonful, and there's kind of a reason for that. They're on the Kama Sutra label, which was Lovin' Spoonful's label, and they were also produced by Eric Jacobson, who also produced the Lovin' Spoonful. But it has that kind of light, kind of psych pop, almost kind of baroque, but then there's still some tinges of psych rock going on, especially with the song Cellophane Woman, which is the first track on side 2. That's got a good kind of rock thing going on. But Hello Hello was their noted hit. So yeah, from I want to say 60, 67, 68, something in that ballpark. This is Sopwith Camel on through MGM Records. Was really happy to come across that one. Okay, this is an absolute blind buy. The sticker had said Prog Rock, and this is Turner and Kerwin of Wexford, Absolutely and Completely. UK outfit, and a great prog rock album. Don't know a lot about this duo, but man, I was really impressed with this. Absolutely. And this includes both the original inner sleeve and the insert about the band. And I'll just quickly show you the label. Don't even know too much about the label there, but really happy with this one. And yeah, worth checking out, especially if you love prog rock. And this is a North American issue. It's not a UK press, but yeah, there you go. Okay, speaking about more proggy things, this is a band I wasn't totally familiar with, Guns and Butter, and this is their debut, but on a very proggy label, the Cotillon label, and yeah, absolutely enjoyed it. Now, as you can see, this is a promo copy. It's got the promo stamp there, but then it's also got a stamp from Radio McGill, which would have been the university radio station for McGill University in Montreal. But yeah, some proggy stuff going on there with Guns and Butter. And the band The Crow, not Stone the Crows. This is a band simply called Crow, I guess you could say, not The Crows. There was also a doo-wop band called The Crows back in the day. But this is Best of Crow. They had a song called Evil Woman, which was covered by Black Sabbath on their debut. So it's got kind of the heavy rock, generally heavy rock, not too heavy, surprisingly, overall. But yeah, Crow Best of, and came across Crow by Crow as well. So yeah, happy to pick these up. Okay, lead singer for the band Renaissance. This is Annie Haslam and Annie in Wonderland, and it does have that continued folk rock sound of the band on this solo effort. But I was thinking, if you weren't familiar with the artist and were picking this up, you might think that this is a children's record, although there's some interesting things going on the back there. But I love Annie Haslam's voice. And interesting, a bunch of guest artists on here, including up in the corner there, Roy Wood. Writes a couple of tracks on here and also plays on the album as well. So Roy Wood from, of course, Wizard and early ELO. Okay, this is a thrift store find. This is Roy Hamilton, and this is You'll Never Walk Alone. Roy Hamilton had a wonderful gospel soul voice and was a big influence on Elvis Presley. And this on Epic Records. How many Utopia records are out there? Lots. And this is Todd Rundgren's Utopia, Another Live, a great live album. Don't know specifically where it was recorded on the Bearsville label, of course, but just says recorded live August 1975. And surprisingly, doing a cover of Something's Coming from West Side Story. Believe it or not, Todd Rundgren always keeps you guessing. And then there's Utopia's Oblivion. You probably, I don't know if, have to maybe take it off that, and you might be able to kind of catch the title. There we go, Oblivion, another Todd Rundgren album. Oh, okay. Can't get enough Foghat, or maybe you can, but here's Foghat and Rock and Roll Outlaws. Another fine Foghat, good rockin' album, and there they are brandishing their guns back there. Foghat. Happy to pick up Leonard Skinnard, and this is Street Survivors. Thankfully, this didn't cost me an arm and a leg. It is missing the inner sleeve, and it doesn't have the Survivor kit insert in it, but of course this is with the original cover that would then be changed pretty much to that cover on the MCA label. Leonard Skinnard, of course, What's Your Name, That Smell? Great album. Okay, an artist who's got a lot of albums is the artist Donovan. And boy, when you're looking at this cover, you think this is a Donovan record, but this is the album 7Ts. And yes, that is in fact Donovan on the cover, because there he is pictured on the back. Now, of course, musically, this runs the spectrum. This isn't folk. This is kind of 70s, so the music is kind of all over the place. But again, with Donovan records, they're very enjoyable, and you know, he does do quite a variety of music through his career, including on this one, Donovan and 7Ts. There you go. Okay, Richie Havens, debut and Mixed Bag. This is a slightly later pressing because this, of course, celebrates his Woodstock appearance. The Woodstock Showstopper, Handsome Johnny, included in this album. And I do love his cover of Just Like a Woman. Absolutely beautiful. He also covers Eleanor Rigby. And yeah, so Richie Havens, the debut. Happy to add that to the collection. Here's another blind buy. Didn't know anything about this group. The Stars of Heaven, an Irish band, and this is Sacred Heart Hotel. And this is an EP, and it's got that nice kind of Irish, Celtic, kind of late 80s pop thing going on. An EP, because there's not too many songs there. But when I first put it on the turntable, just listening to the music before any vocals came in, it was okay. It was a little dirgy. And then realizing, oh, actually, this album is to be played on 45 RPM, not 33 RPM. But as you can see with the cover, and all on the back, nowhere does it say that it should be played at 45 RPM. The only place it says that, and this is a UK press, in fact, the only place it says that is on the tiniest printing. You might not even be able to see it on the label, and it's just under there. Probably won't be able to see that it says 45 RPM. So there you go. But enjoyed. Okay, the debut from the Pointer Sisters, when there were 4 Pointer Sisters. This goes back to the days when they kind of started things off. They were doing that kind of 40s big band vocal kind of thing, and that was their kind of vibe. Although also on this album, they do a cover of Wang Dang Doodle, which is great. And this features the Hoodoo Rhythm Devils. Overall, it's not bad, a little uneven, but of course they would quickly enough discard this kind of 40s big band vocal kind of thing. But yeah, the debut of the Pointer Sisters. I found that one in a thrift store. The Best of Charity Brown. You likely may not know this artist, a Canadian artist from Kitchener, Ontario. Had a number of radio hits that were covers like Take Me in Your Arms, Jimmy Mack, a lot of those sort of Motown kind of covers. Also hits like Ain't No Way to Treat a Lady. Good vocalist, you know, nice in the 70s. They were good covers. But yeah, happy to pick up The Best of Charity Brown. Okay, this completes my vinyl collection for this amazing band, Bebop Deluxe. So this is their debut, Axe Victim. It's rock, it's glam, it's prog. Absolutely love this band, and they are just so great. And I know they have a number of box sets that are available that spotlight their albums as well. But that's a timely one for you know Halloween. There you go, Bebop Deluxe, and yeah, happy to pick that one up. Okay, a Badfinger record. This is simply titled Badfinger. I believe this is maybe their third or fourth album. This is when they made the switch to Warner Brothers. No big hits off this one, but this is a UK press. Okay, this is Lou Reed and Rock and Roll Heart. This is his actual debut on Arista Records, and there's a few songs that have been kind of demoed with the Velvet Underground that are featured on this album. And also of note is one of the artists taking part in this is Garland Jeffries, who also appears on this one and goes way, way back with Lou Reed. Lou Reed and Rock and Roll Heart, not to be confused with Rock and Roll Animal. Okay, about something that's a little outside my wheelhouse. I see this presented often on the VC. This one's got a little bit, I got this at a fairly decent price because it's got a little chunk out of the corner. This is the Pixies, and the album is Surfer Rosa. I'm going to have to listen to this a couple of more times, but I'm definitely intrigued, and I know that this is a real favorite for some in the vinyl community. But yeah, happy to pick this up, and so we'll be enjoying that a little bit more. Okay, we got some Canadian blues from Dutch Mason from the East Coast. Now, that's a Canadian kind of label with the old stubby bottles there. This is Dutch Mason and Special Brew. Wouldn't it be cool to be able to get some of those kind of beers in the collection? So, yeah, Dutch Mason, great blues music from the East Coast. Always happy to pick up any Dutch Mason. Another Canadian band, Edward Bear. And this is their album Eclipse. Edward Bear had a number of radio hits like Last Song, but they actually, it's an interesting band because they have kind of that blues proggy thing going on as well. So again, Danny Marks had kind of that member of the band who kind of had a blues influence on them. But yeah, this one in really nice condition. And just a simple but intriguing cover, Edward Bear and Eclipse, and on Capitol Records. Never had any NRBQ in my collection until now. I picked up NRBQ and Live. Band I'm going to definitely have to explore a little bit more, but I think this is a nice kind of way to get going. This is Diggin' Uncle Q, and this one on Rounder Records. So some live stuff to get started with this band. Okay, I picked this up at my local record store. This is a reissue of the debut of Ann Peebles. This is Ann Peebles. Of course, it's a lot of cover versions on this one, but boy, terrific voice, great soul music, and happy to pick this up. And this on the, looks like the High label, just a black vinyl, straightforward paper sleeve on that one. Oh, okay. Whenever I see any genuine house rock and music, I always pick it up. This is Genuine House Rock and Music 3, of course, on Alligator Records. I do have a number of Alligator CDs, and by this time, you know, when things were kind of transitioning into CDs, but this features, I mean, the Alligator label with Roy Buchanan. You've got also featured Lonnie Brooks. You've got Elvin Bishop, Katie Webster. Fantastic. Like, unbelievable. It's so good. You just this is party music. You put this on and have a great time. Alligator Records. Okay, the late Johnny Clegg and Savuka from South Africa, and this is the album Cruel, Crazy, Beautiful World. Another great album from Johnny Clegg, and that sort of world music kind of thing going on. But yeah, happy to come across that one. This was a nice thrift store find, Chad and Jeremy, and this is Before and After. And in generally pretty good condition. Yeah, Chad and Jeremy, they had just a really nice sound, kind of that lean to sort of that kind of almost folky thing going on, but not completely. But you know, when they do Can't Get Used to Losing You, Fare Thee Well. They also cover Gordon Lightfoot's For Loving Me. Chad and Jeremy, and this one, yeah, surprisingly, was this still in? Yeah, still in the shrink. Amazing. And this was another thrift store find, Ramsey Lewis and Wade in the Water. It's one of those when you're kind of flipping through, almost flip past it, but then it's like, whoa, Ramsey Lewis, thank you. And yeah, interesting selection of tunes covered here in the Ramsey Lewis style, of course, on Cadet. Fantastic. Really happy to pick that up. Okay, this was an odd purchase. Split Ends. This is their album Frenzy, but this is a later press, a later North American press, where they have I haven't heard the original, but on this one, I think with the exception of one track, I See Red, all the rest are actually remixes. And in fact, it even does say up in the corner here, previously recorded tunes, 1978 to 1979. So this is and I think there might be even extra songs on this than the original album. Yeah, but this is a North American version with the original inner sleeve, of course, featuring the Finn brothers, and then they go on for Crowded House with Neil Finn. But yeah, enjoyed it overall. Okay, always can't get enough of 10 Years After when I see it, at least if it's in decent shape or at least a decent price, I pick it up. This is 10 Years After and Positive Vibrations. Very nice, and this is also included on a 10 Years After CD box set that I have. And came across this one. This is 10 Years After and Alvin Lee and Company, and this is on the DRAM label. So this is early 10 Years After stuff. I think they put this out once 10 Years After changed labels, and they had some of this early stuff. And so this is produced by Mike Vernon, who of course produced early Fleetwood Mac. Okay, a little bit more blues music. How about David Wilcox from Canada and Bad Reputation? Real blues rock at its finest. Always a lot of humor in David Wilcox music. Features the title track, Bad Reputation, and The Grind. But David Wilcox, still going. How about the best of Gladys Knight and the Pips? And this is pretty much got everything you need, I believe, on Buddha Records. Again, they had their first early hit on Motown and then switched, but then the hits still kept coming. I've Got Used to My Imagination. You've also got Midnight Train to Georgia, of course, the absolute classic. They also did Try to Remember the Way We Were. Going a little bit more AC, but yeah, Gladys Knight and the Pips. Okay, some early Canadian rock. This is Brighton rock. Well, early Canadian, I mean from the 80s. They were a popular enough outfit, surprisingly produced by Jack Richardson, of course, who produced Guess Who. But that sort of 80s rock sound, Brighton rock. Okay, a later album from Spirit, and this is Farther Along. And interesting on this one, this was kind of a semi-reunion for the band after being off for a bit, but they also, again, do a version of Nature's Way that's featured on here. Okay, here's a band I didn't know anything about. This was almost kind of a blind buy, but man, I'm glad I picked this up. This is a band called The Third World. This is not to be confused with a reggae band called Third World, but this is the album America the Beautiful. Heavy music. I wouldn't really call it psych, but heavy music and some intriguing lyrics. But boy, was I happy to pick this one up. This is like from like the early 70s on RCA Victor. And a band I absolutely love and have really been discovering on vinyl, a band that goes way beyond just the big hit Smoking in the Boys' Room. This is Brownsville Station and School Punks. I love that cover. And yeah, they do a cover of a few covers available on this one, including Hey Little Girl. But yeah, I just love the sound. A great rockin' sound for this band. For sure. Brownsville Station. Okay, this is a Canadian band called the Cooper Brothers and Pitfalls of the Ballroom. They had a really nice country rock sound. I'm surprised they didn't have bigger success because I think they had great vocals, great sound, and they were in fact on the Capricorn label that featured the Allman Brothers. So this one had some hits, maybe not like huge radio hits, that were featured on here. I'll Know Her When I See Her was a hit. Show Me Some Motion was also a hit. But I'm just surprised that this band just didn't go on to bigger success, given that they had a really decent sound overall. Okay, this one for fans of Toya. And this is Toya and the album Anthem. And I do believe this is being reissued as some sort of a box set. And of course, fans of Robert Fripp will know of Toya. This is, Toya is Robert's wife, and they've been doing videos, particularly during lockdown with their Sunday lunch or Sunday brunch, where they do some wild covers. So yeah, I was happy to pick up a Toya album, and this including the original inner sleeve. But yeah, real sort of, I don't know how you describe Toya. It's very, kind of very 80s. This is from 1981, but she's quite an amazing artist for sure. Okay, and speaking of amazing bands, how about Talking Heads? And was happy to come across this one. This is Talking Heads live. The name of this band is Talking Heads 2 LP live set. This is not a gatefold, but it does include the original inner sleeves. This goes kind of from 77, 79 to 1980 and 1981. But great double album from Talking Heads Live. This was a thrift store find. David Sanborn, sure, I'll pick it up. And this is A Change of Heart. And it's got, of course, the great sax stylings of Mr. David Sanborn. Okay, there's that. And this was a blind buy at a thrift store sitting there, and I wasn't sure, did not know this artist at all. This is Malcolm Tomlinson, and he was a UK artist, then transplanted in Canada. And it's got a nice kind of singer-songwriter kind of thing. Speaking of Edward Baird, Danny Marks from that band plays on this album. This was recorded in Canada, and yeah, I enjoyed this. I don't know how much material Malcolm Tomlinson has out, but yeah, there you go. Okay, another Triumvirate album. This is Illusions on a Double Dimple. And this, of course, a great proggy stuff. The cover of this one, not in very good condition. This was, I think, did I pick this? Yeah, I picked this up at a thrift store. And this had like kind of pink wax on the back of it. And that I had to kind of get off. And it was like, I don't know if it was a candle or something or what exactly was going on. The album is in fine shape. The album plays fine, but the cover not in the best of shape. I think this is definitely due for an upgrade, but that was kind of weird that I hadn't noticed right away and then tried to get off as best I can. But I do enjoy Triumvirate, great proggy band. A band that I think is always underrated, the Grassroots, and this is their 16 greatest hits. That kind of blue-eyed soul thing going on with this band, but a ton of radio hits. Sooner or Later, Heaven Knows, Temptation Eyes, Midnight Confessions, Wait a Million Years. Great band, Grassroots. Okay, from Canada, how about Stompin' Toms? Stompin' Tom Connors meets Muck Tuck Annie. As we talk about, Stompin' Tom is almost that kind of alternate country or almost country punk, if you will. And he's got a lot of humor in his music. The one and only Stompin' Tom Connors. And just a few more. I picked this up for $2, unbelievably. This is Greg Allman and Laid Back. $2 for this amazing record, and it's in decent shape. And sometimes when it's $2 and you're thinking, oh gosh, I don't know what kind of condition this is going to be in, but great condition for Greg Allman's solo record. And $2 for this one, Humble Pie and Rock On. Again, in decent shape. Some early Humble Pie here. And of course, you can pick up the Humble Pie vinyl box set, and they are issuing a Humble Pie CD box set that has a bonus disc on it that should be coming out before Christmas time. Humble Pie, again, couldn't believe I picked that up for $2. And last but not least, let's wrap it up with a Canadian band. This is Lighthouse, and Can You Feel It? Again, if you like Chicago, you like the sound of Lighthouse, horns, that sort of thing going on, featuring Skip Prokop. Had a ton of radio hits. This one includes Pretty Lady. All right, so that is going to do it for this one. Hopefully there was something in there that you enjoyed. And again, I do enjoy the fact that you take the time to watch these videos and comment, and we'll chat again very soon. So do take care and bye-bye. Hope everybody's doing well.